Runaway leaders, Coventry, the best team in the league by a mile, visit Portman Road to play stuttering Ipswich Town. 3-0 home win. Didn't have that on your bingo card, did you? Welcome to episode 1000 of the Blue Monday podcast. Craig, are we weird or are we good again?
Are we, us three, weird? Well, it's a Sunday night and we're potentially chatting to ourselves about football. I think we've always been good, but we just haven't showed it yet. And we possibly did for 50 minutes or so of yesterday on a more constant basis than we have been more recently, shall I say.
Yeah. Joe, I kind of mapped out about 8 different ways this would finish. And I kind of, if I had Ipswich winning, it was like 1-0 and just controlled it. I did not have it getting loose and a 3-0 win in there. Happy days.
I guess it's one of those where if you get ahead in these games, it's not like other games where some teams will think, oh, at 1-0, actually, we'll just try and sort of keep it tight and nick an equaliser at the end of the game and be happy with a point. Coventry don't play like that.
No.
And they played a very high line, which some might describe as suicidal. And it was the perfect opposition for us at Portman Road, a team actually coming in and trying to chase a goal against us in the second half.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome, everybody, to what should be a fairly positive Blue Monday podcast. But the way this team's been playing this season, there might just be a weird performance not too far down the road. But let's just enjoy the very good performance that we had this past weekend. Get involved down there in the comments. We are going to bring in Richard Woodward and David Diamond towards the end of the show and be a little bit self-indulgent. You're all saying lovely things about show number 1000. We'll talk about a few favourite memories, but we've got a very good win to talk about first. By the way, as well, we're just talking about our Spotify raps. And if, unlike me, you don't have My Little Pony, K-pop, Demon Hunters and Trolls at the top of yours, we do love to see Blue Monday at the top. So please do send us pictures. That makes us feel great about what we are doing here. So, yeah, Craig, bona fide, really, really big game. I kind of made it shrunk after our performances, frankly, against Oxford and against Blackburn. But maybe the narrative has switched. And this is the team that I'm going to call him the professor today because he's selected. Walton in goal, Davison Furlong, the fullbacks, Kipray, O'Shea, Matasiwa, Taylor, Egerly, Nunes starts in the 10. Has he got the shirt? Philogene and Hurst. Craig, your thoughts?
Well, it's the same team that started at Oxford, isn't it? A week and a day ago, as it was, and played well for the first 20-25 minutes at Oxford. Played with a bit of zip and a bit of tempo. You say about having the shirt. You can we now start potentially naming a fair chunk of that team as being our first choice team? It certainly seems that Kipray has cemented the centre half position, and more performances like yesterday will only cement that cementing. And as you say about Nunes starting to get an understanding with the guy that plays ahead of him on at least one, if not two occasions yesterday. So yeah, that looks like it's another issue or problem position that might be starting to be resolved. But in terms of the rest of the formation, yeah, it's 5 changes to the Blackburn team, but 5 changes that took us back to the Oxford team pretty much.
Joe, anything to add on that? Oh, let me just say a big thank you before you come in, Joe, to Chris McTaggart there. 10 NZ dollars on the super chat. Morning from Queenstown, NZ. Happy 1000 after a great statement win. Chris, thank you so much for your support. Joe, can you respond to what Craig was saying about that 11?
Yeah, for all the talk of rotation that we've had a lot of this week, especially in the light of the bad result and poor performance that we had at Blackburn, it was always a team sheet which had a lot of eyes on it. It feels like this is what we see as the A team, the weekend team, the team that plays the majority of the games, the guys that start 2/3 to 3/4 of the games rather than the other ones in there. And I think you just hope that you can just ride a little bit now because the combinations are starting to appear like someone like Marcelino Nunes is starting to learn that 10 role and starting to get more involved, drop into spaces, land on the ball a bit more, and you just think, come on, just give this team a little chance to ride, and we'll see if that is the case on Wednesday.
Craig, Nunes is like the complete opposite of Connor Chaplin, isn't it? In terms of he's a player that you almost want to give no instructions to when he goes out, whereas Chaplin seemed to thrive on doing exactly what he was told and doing it very, very well. But maybe are we finding a happy medium here?
Possibly. I think the only time Connor Chaplin went away from his script was the Wes Burns goal, wasn't it? When he was pretty much in front of Kieran McKenna and he hit that first time pass out to left wing and got berated by Kieran McKenna for doing the plan. And then 2 or 3 passes later, it's being stuck in the top corner of the outside of the foot. And funnily enough, on Telegram, I clipped it out. I don't know if we'll talk about it. You might not go into such detail about singular passes in the match report, Ben, but on 6 minutes yesterday, O'Shea pinged the ball into Hurst, who knocked it first time back to Nunes. And Nunes hit this first time left-footed, half-volleyed pass out the wing to Philogene. And it was worth the entrance fee alone, shall we say. And it was probably a little bit quieter in the middle of the first half, but the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the second half, he was purring. And as you say, he was here, he was there, he was out on the right wing, he was balls to the outside of his foot, he was slipping people, in. And what he does, he's not much of a dribbler, but what he does, every time he gets the ball, he's playing with intent, he's playing with positivity, and he looks to, more often than not, get the ball forward and get the ball forward quickly. And what you can tell from his passes, and it's a sign of a good passer, his passes make the decision for the guy who's passed. Now he's specifically passing it to you for a reason, for you to then do something with the ball subsequently. Yeah,
and that amazing goal was, of course, against Coventry, wasn't it? Scored by Wes Burns. And here is your Coventry 11, Joe. Rushworth, Van Evik and De Silva are the fullbacks. Thomas and Kitching are the centre-backs, excuse me. Eccles and Grimes in central midfield. Is that right? And Kessler Hayden forward right?
Yeah, he was on the right wing.
Yeah, okay. Radoni 10, Mason Clark left, Sims up top. We should point out that a few key players there, Sakamoto, Torp, Thomas Asante missing, Hadji Wright returned to the bench, but this has been the best team in the division, Joe, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think Torp was a surprise. There hadn't been any talk of Torp missing the game, and when the team sheets came out, that was the one that stuck out. I think the rest we were all pretty aware of who was going to be in and out of the team, and I guess this could be something to do with Coventry. They've sort of really played these guys sort of every week in, week out. They've generally kept the same 11 or tried to as much as anything, and this the part of the master plan for us where they start to get injuries and we don't. But I'd probably rather have the extra 12 points on the board than a couple of injuries, to be fair, but that's where we are.
Yeah. I was working yesterday, but I did listen to we had a talk sport commentary, so it was reasonably neutral on this. Dan Windle and Perry Groves. Joe suggesting it was a bit of a nervy opening where Coventry had the better of it.
Yeah, I'd say they did without creating a huge amount. They just seemed a little bit, as you'd expect, a bit cleaner, landed on more second balls. Just, they looked like a side playing with confidence, playing against a side without confidence. So they were able to move us about where we weren't really when we got the ball from them. But other than there's a header that Kessler Hayden had, Mason Efron Clark had the crossover to him, and he probably should do better from where he is. But it's a difficult chance. He heads it well wide, and sort of up until about half an hour, there's not really a huge amount happening. They're having to play without really hurting us, and when we get the ball back, we're not working it very well when we do get it back. But we're pretty solid, and it's just one of those games where the goals are going to provide the narrative of what's happened as opposed to what's actually happening.
I suppose we better talk about Josh Eccles. When was the save he forced from Walton and the yellow card for a delay of a restart?
Yeah, well, they were sort of midway through the first half, weren't they? But the shot from my position up near the players' tunnel, you couldn't notice that it was a save. It looked like it just slammed into the post, and it wasn't until such time as you saw the replay that you saw that it was. It's a great save, isn't it? Walton's going one way, he's a little bit unsighted, and to get down that quickly to his right, and not for the first time in the match, get down quickly to his right, knock it onto the post. It's one of those, a few people saying in the chat there, it's one of those sliding doors moments, isn't it? Because to Joe's point, it was certainly one of those games whereby the first goal was probably going to be a very, very important goal, because it then allows the scorer of that first goal to set the pace of the game and puts the onus obviously on the opposition to take a few more risks to get back into it. And as you said, Ben, that neither of the teams are the sort of ones that would be sitting back if they went down 1-0. So yeah, it was only going to end up with some gaps. So yeah, it was a very important save. Great save from Walton. Good performance all round from Walton. And the yellow card, I think, was a yellow card. It was a foul on O'Shea. The referee blew his whistle. It was timed by yours truly at 1.22 seconds between the whistle and the ball being kicked, which doesn't sound a lot, 1.22 seconds, but when you watch it, it's quite a long time. The player knows that the whistle has gone, the ball's at his foot, and he's kicking it into the stands.
He takes the touch, doesn't he? After,
yeah. I think it's a yellow card.
And we should point out here, Joe, this is one of these annoying things in football lawmaking, where at the start of what was the year we got promoted? Was it 23-24, the second promotion?
Yep.
At the start of that season, Joe, do you remember the two big things were stoppage time and any player that kicked the ball away after the whistle had gone at any point got booked, didn't they? And those were the two big things. And I guess, what did we get? 3, 4, 6 weeks of that being brutally enforced? Not even that for the stoppage time. But yeah, and that kind of drifts away. And take me to George Hurst then doing something. I'm sure Craig's timed both then, hasn't he? Doing something vaguely similar up the other end, right?
Yeah, so Hurst had been booked already. He'd fouled one of their centre halves. I couldn't really see it from where it was, but I think by all accounts it was a definite yellow card. So nothing to argue about that. And then it comes from Nunes, sort of breaks and puts the ball forward to Hurst. Hurst goes through and the flag goes up. And he obviously sees the flag because he slows down, but the whistle hasn't gone. And then the whistle goes as he's sort of going into stride to take the shot. But it's one of those ones, he knows he's offside, but the whistle hasn't gone early. So if you're taught to play,
I think the key point, Joe, he also knows he's on a yellow card. Yeah,
yeah. No, it's a bit silly, but I think when you at the time, because all their players reacted, they ran around the ref, and I thought I didn't know what happened next. I thought we'd won the ball back quite cleanly in midfield, and I hadn't, and it felt like why are they going for that? And then all of a sudden I realised it's because Hurst kicked the ball away, and at the time I thought, oh yeah, he was quite lucky, and stand by that. I think there's some excuses to be made, but all of them are quite generous to George Hurst. But I think when you actually, like I say, if you do actually sit and watch it back and see where the whistle goes a long time after the flag goes up.
And so to your point, Joe, the whistle goes after he knows he's offside. But are you arguing that the whistle is the key thing in the delay of the restart here?
Yeah, we have to play to the whistle. And also when you talk about delaying a restart, the goalie's got to get the ball and the free kick's 40 yards in front of where it is. It's not like you're trying to take a quick free kick or trying to get the ball away.
I would agree. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, but we did have a very clear dictate 2 years ago where it's not about the keeper getting the ball. It's about the player kicking the ball away rather than any of that stuff. But I take your point. Carry on.
Yeah, and like I say, I've seen it happen before where someone's had a second yellow card when they're through on goal and shooting. I think Thierry Henry did it at the New Camp, and I remember Shola Amio.
Van Persie, yeah?
England under-20s. Oh, yeah, Van Persie was at the New Camp. And I do think in that situation where you're through one-on-one, having a shot at goal with, I don't think he didn't take another touch of the ball after the whistle went. He just went into his shooting stride and shot it. Like I say, he knows he's off because he's seen the flag, but it's probably lucky to some extent, but I don't think it's. I think it's very incomparable to Eccles because he takes the ball, takes a touch, doesn't really kick it quickly, and then just punts the ball into row Z, and then turns round, sort of huffing and puffing that the foul's been given. Like, so he knows what he's doing, and it's a bit silly, but yeah, Hurst is lucky that the pressure from the players onto the ref didn't lead to something, which would be my view. I don't think the offence was a yellow card, but it could easily be given as one.
What's your take? Craig. I think I agree with most of what Joe said there. Bit silly, bit lucky, yeah.
Being in the ground at the time, I thought he was a very, very, very lucky boy because I look along that goal line towards the away fans.
Oh, you're right there, aren't you?
It's at my end of the pitch, yeah, exactly. So I saw the flag go up, and I saw the Coventry defenders stop, and I saw the Coventry goalkeeper stop. But it wasn't until got back last night and watched the replays, and this morning watched the full match replay, etc. And also the ITV highlights last night when they spoke to Frank Lampard post-match. They give a completely different angle to what you've seen previously. And you can see, to Joe's point, all of those things happen. The flag goes up, Coventry defenders stop, Coventry goalkeeper stops. The whistle doesn't blow until such time as George Hurst is just about to kick the ball. He knows he's offside, but he hasn't heard a whistle. If it's an away player and it's the second half and he's already on a yellow, I think he may get a second yellow, but he's a home player. It's the first half. I think there's enough benefit. At the time in the ground, I thought he was going to get a second yellow, and it was a stupid thing to do. But having seen it all, I don't think it was.
Yeah, there we go. And I think the thing that troubles me a bit, Craig, is I get the Coventry fans' annoyance, but it's so hard when you're complaining about a refereeing decision that doesn't get given, as opposed to if you get a dodgy red card and then you can guarantee the game is changed. So whether or not it was or wasn't a red card, that's subjective, or a second yellow. But the game is then still 11 vs 11 and it's 0-0, Craig, is my point about it being so defining. And Coventry are the best team in the league. And as Joe says, they're in the ascendancy. So, but I can see. I don't think I've folded that into a question, Craig. But
I don't think if Eccles hadn't already been booked for the same thing, inverted commas, I don't think there'd have been any real complaints from Coventry. But because it had happened 5-10 minutes earlier, then obviously it sets a precedent to their.
And I've got to try and be totally balanced. Go and watch the replay. Our players surround the ref when Eccles does it.
Oh yeah.
As well, they all appeal for him to be yellow carded. So we're not in anywhere innocent there. But we are going to take the lead, Joe, and the Eggman is going to score twice in a 2-game period. How on earth did he get that through that forest of players?
Well, was it a free? I think it was a sort of a free kick for a foul on Nunes. It comes into the box, gets half cleared, and Matasiwa does well to pick the ball up and gets it sort of down.
I think you're going to have to come in, Craig, on this one and describe Eggely's goal, because Joe Fair.
I shall correct Joe. It wasn't a free kick on Nunes. It was a Davis corner. Yes, as Joe said, the ball came out to Matasiwa, who does well to retrieve it, to win it back, and he feeds Philogene down the left-hand side. He crosses to around about the penalty spot. There's a little touch, I think, off Thomas, which means that Kipre miskicks, a bit of an air kick, but it takes a little touch, I think, goes through Thomas's legs. It then comes to Dar O'Shea in the box, who lays it back to Eggely. And what Eggely does really well here is he doesn't panic. He plays this like a checked pass in the channel to Davis with his right foot. Davis is still over that side of the pitch, having taken the corner, you see, down the right-hand side. He plays this little check pass into Davis. Davis knocks it back over the goal towards Philogene, who takes it down. Philogene then spots Eggely around about the edge of the box. We've seen this one before, a cut back to the edge of the box and being swept in left-footed into the far corner. We've spoken about Connor Chaplin already this evening, and it's very much a trademark Connor Chaplin goal stroke finish. But yeah, I think what it showed actually, and it's a little bit like the Blackburn equaliser the other night. We didn't panic in and around the box. You know, we took our time. We made the space. Exactly that. Yeah, we kept the ball alive. We didn't panic. We didn't have a shot to nothing. We worked it until there was an opportunity for the shot. I say it was just swept in beautifully. But to your point, Ben, it did go through and around an awful lot of bodies in between.
I thought you were going to be bringing Black Deflection FC for that one, Craig.
Yeah, exactly. It could well have got deflected either towards a goal or wide. But no, it's a great goal. Swept in beautifully.
But brilliant, Joe. And I'm as guilty as anyone. I literally, every time I do a championship roundup on my other channel, I call him the most expensive player in championship history. It's just the headline around him. And great that he's got a couple of goals now.
Yeah, and it looked like the goal against Blackburn looks like it's given him a lot of confidence, because as soon as the game started, he was sort of getting the ball out of his feet, turning, sort of trying to square his man up and go past him and work from there. And yeah, just the goal and the lovely celebration just sort of flew into the corner. A great sort of Premier League £17.5 million worthy knee slide into the corner. And
I don't like it. We're going to see some player tear their cruciate ligament or something doing that. I don't like it.
Oh, well, if you don't like it, you still got to appreciate that one as a great one. Yeah. And the celebration it's a Erling Haaland celebration. And I say we just hope that he can carry on his goal scoring run over the rest of the season, because like I say, if he can get himself up to 12, 13, 14 championship goals this season, he's going to be really, really noticed. And that £17.5 million is going to start to look like a real bargain.
So, Joe, you've already mentioned the game state, and Craig sort of talking about how vital the first goal is. I know we can argue about the Hurst yellow card, but was it, captain hindsight here, was that the key moment, whoever got the first goal? And then in your opinion, do things swing in our favour then? Because we did see Coventry get 2 up at Middlesbrough. It went 2-2. And I swear, you can see this on my watch along. I said, you realise they'll go on and win still, Coventry at this point. So, it's not necessarily that simple, but it did feel big with this particular matchup.
Yeah, and I thought it'd probably be an over-exaggeration to say the goal was coming, but I think for about half an hour, it felt like we'd seen off Coventry's initial thrust for us. Their go to try and get ahead of the game, and they were having a sort of lull, and we were getting on top. Sort of the ball was spending more time in their third than in our third, which flipped around for the first half hour. And yeah, I think the main issue we'd have had, and you could see from the way they set up and how they came at the game from us at the start, if they'd have got the first goal, I think the crowd was quite edgy, quite antsy. And I think if they'd have got the first goal and we'd have gone in 1-0 down, it would have been a chorus of boos following the team in, and it would have been a really, really difficult atmosphere for us to play in. So it was so important for us to get that first goal. Came at a good time, and really from there we just didn't look back. I know they did have a couple of chances, but we had the bulk of the chances even from that point.
This is mental, Craig, isn't it? This team and this club and this season is on such a razor's edge. You've described Eccles, who's been in great form and has a very good coach for an attacking midfielder wanting to up his goal average. He misses by an inch from a brilliant save. Could have had a red card. And Joe's right. After the Blackburn performance was poor, wasn't it? They would have been booed at halftime. It's so on a knife edge this season, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. It was edgy. But how many times we've seen that half of football so many times where it's edgy. It was scrappy at times. The ball was bouncing off a pit, or there were misplaced passes. George Hurst was getting the needle from some sections for his miscontrolling of the ball. So yeah, it was a very edgy atmosphere. But we've seen that. They've seen that half hour. It's a tight game, but the opposition seemed to score from what seems to be their first attempt at goal, and all of a sudden you're chasing the game. And as we saw from stats recently, we're not great at turning around games where we go behind. So yeah, it was important. It was probably important from both the players' perspective and from the crowds, certainly from the crowd's perspective, to go in the lead. But then to Joe's point, the second half, it was perfect for us because it opened it up for us.
Do you want to take us, Joe, from the start of the second half to the Hurst goal, his 6th of the season?
Well, the first big chance of the second half is Hurst going for a goal. Kipre sort of does really well, comes out of defence with the ball and slots it through to Hurst, who sort of beats the offside trap, runs in, and the ball is maybe just a little bit under his feet, and he tries to sort of bend it round the keeper, but just ends up sort of passing the ball back to him. It's a good chance. You don't want to miss too many of them against a side that have got so much attacking quality and attacking intent as Coventry do. And that, I can't really remember much else happening between that and the goal, but it was very much we were sort of sitting in relatively comfortable and just catching them on the break. Philogene and putting in a real shift on that left-hand side, getting up and down. Him and Leif Davis combining probably as well as they have done for a few weeks. Nunez just landing on the ball a lot more, sort of playing it there. And
there was the Walton handball.
Oh yeah, the Walton handball outside the box, which was outside the box, but yellow card is what that is due. It's sort of a really sort of strange one when you see it, because he ends up with sort of like both his feet outside the box and takes the ball. And there was no real need for it. He's obviously just totally misjudged it. And that
people get very
free
confused
kick
about
from
that,
there,
Joe, don't they? There is no red card offence for handball. It's denial of obvious goal scoring opportunity. But I think the thing people get confused about is most times a keeper handballs it outside the box. They do generally deny an obvious goal
I think
scoring
that just used to
opportunity.
be the rule about 30 years ago. But if you look back at the FA Cup final, Henderson goes out and sort of really does deny a goal scoring opportunity for Haaland.
Yeah.
But he gets the benefit of the doubt in that one. And this was just not a goal
And everyone wanted Palace to win anyway, didn't they? So.
Yeah, yellow card. I think is it Eccles that takes a free kick, or Grimes, and he really flies across the goal, doesn't it? And it's a really, really good free kick. And I think Kipre and Thomas end up in a big pile in the goal net. But yeah, we get away with that one and keep pushing. And then Marcelino, a cross comes into our box. Darragh O'Shea sort of slips as he's getting there, but manages while he's sort of down on the ground to plant a header perfectly to Marcelino Nunes in the midfield. And then I'll let Craig take over.
And Craig, as Joe was just describing that, I was thinking George Hurst, and someone will correct me in the chat here, when he's running in on goal at an angle, doesn't tend to score. But when he's in a eyeballing the goalkeeper down and it's kind of a bit more straight, I remember, was it one against Preston maybe or something at the start of last season?
Blackburn, was it?
Blackburn, was it? 2 seasons ago, actually.
Swansea.
Yeah, he tends to tuck these away when he's just head on, doesn't he? And here he goes, Craig.
Yeah, and it's an important goal from his perspective, having missed a similar-ish one 10 or so minutes before, where, to Joe's point on that one, it was obvious where he's going to try and put it, and he just didn't execute it particularly well. But yeah, Nunes picks the ball up 20 yards in our half, takes a touch inside, and then dinks it left-footed over the top of both Kitchen and Thomas, who are both very flat, very, very high up the pitch, like 2 or 3 yards in our half as the last men.
And Craig, it was the only pass that was on to Nunes. I can't believe neither. They're good, those two as well. I can't believe neither of them read that.
Well, that's right. And I listened to the pre-match pod you did with one of the Coventry guys, and he was saying that both Thomas and Kitchen are very aggressive, the most aggressive centre halves in the division. Well, they're not the quickest.
No.
And once Hurst had the run on them, they weren't catching, were they? You could see that. I think Kitchen's the one that's closest to him, and as George Hurst is sprinting away from him, Thomas is alongside and actually throws his head back as if to say, "Oh, balls!" He's not catching him now. And maybe Rashford's maybe a little bit slow coming off his line because Hurst does get to take it in a fair bit. But yeah, he puts it away nicely, thankfully. And I say, as you said, it's the goal that we've seen a few times before, and now we are in the ascendancy because we've got a 2-goal cushion. They need to come out even more, and we can start exploiting even more space by virtue of bringing on substitutes who revel having an awful lot of space in the middle and final thirds.
Yeah, Kaius, Clark, Zona coming in. So are Allen returning, Hadji Wright, and Andrews for Coventry. How does this play out at 2-0? This is lovely being 2-0 up, isn't it, Joe? Relax a bit then, can't you?
Walton has one more good save to make, which sort of the ball flies around the box, and Redoni hits a left foot shot, which Walt gets across, gets a really strong hand to and pushes away. But that's really Coventry's main chance they have for the rest of the game. I think the stats show their total XG for the game is 0.43. So we've really limited a side that have been the sort of goal getters of the league, who scored 50 odd goals in 18 games to next to nothing, really. And I know one of their shots hits the post, but that was sort of a low percentage shot and a fantastic save. But really, it's all us from that point. That we're just sort of sitting back in and just picking them off on the break at will. Really, we're not creating huge amounts, but it's about as comfortable a comfortable game to see out as you can, because they're committing so much forward that it's quite easy to catch them on the break. And as it leads to the third goal is another one on the break. Jack Clark does brilliantly in the middle.
Yeah, you take this one, Joe.
He's come on, sort of comes into the middle of the pitch, takes a touch, drives past his man, and just plays that lovely ball inside to Azon. Azon is in, and it looks like he should go more towards the goal, but he ends up taking a touch wider and tries to play it across to Sam Smodics, returning from injury. But the ball doesn't get to him. When it comes back to Azon, he sort of takes a touch inside, and then he sort of half dummies to shoot, and then whips a shot in after that. interesting technique, and probably one that doesn't help Rushworth get set with his feet for it. And yeah, just a really good see, because Hurst's booking in the first half, the one he did get, was his 5th of the season. So he will be suspended for the game on Wednesday against Stoke, which is frustrating, because had he got through that one, he wouldn't have had a booking. So he's there. So it's really good for Azon to hope to try and get a bit of confidence. His first goal at Portman Road, and then because he's likely to need to start against Stoke on Wednesday.
Yeah, great finish. I've just got the shot map up here, and according to the XG, people get very triggered by this. It was 5 times more difficult than Hurst's chance, because it's a little bit further over Craig, but he whips that one in beautifully, doesn't he?
Yeah. And to Joe's point, we're talking about the subs and the space. Once, I think it's Grimes that Clark drifts past in and around the centre circle. He's very good at that, isn't he? It was tailor-made for Clark to come on at that point to, take on his man, and then all of a sudden Thomas doesn't know whether to go to stick or twist, so he has to come across to close down Clark, and then creates the space for Azon. It's like 3-on-3 at that point, and for once, we almost make the wrong decision, to Joe's point about putting the cross in for Sammy Smodic. But yeah, it's a good finish, and it's probably important. Well, it's important. Both your strikers have scored, haven't they? It's just a shame that George Hurst is suspended, because it'd be nice for him to take it on to the next game. But it's important for Azon to have got a goal, and he'll presumably start on Wednesday night.
Craig, your answer can literally be, football, Ben. But we covered a game last week against Oxford where literally every big moment in the game we described went for Oxford and against Ipswich. And we cover a game this week against Coventry where literally every big moment in the game went for Ipswich and against Coventry. It's so strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But then, as Joe said, once we sort of started the second half and got to grips with it, and Nunes started to get on the ball, Coventry really didn't create too much. We did keep them at arm's length. I said before, Kipre was an absolute monster at the back. He had people hanging off of him at times as he was driving past them with the ball. O'Shea potentially got a little bit bullied by Sims at certain points. But again, as we said, that back four is now starting to look a little bit more settled. Now we've tried the Ashley Young experiment for a little bit. It's starting to look a little bit more settled. If Walton plays like that for the foreseeable, then he's not going to be relinquishing that shirt particularly readily, I wouldn't suggest. So, yeah, there wasn't really anything in the second half where it could have gone either way. There was a good save from Walton. And that was pretty much it. That from Coventry's perspective, there was nothing untoward or controversial from a decisions perspective. So, yeah, I think, as I say, we saw out the second half pretty convincingly.
Joe, for those people who have been getting upset about the majority of passes in our team being played by our goalkeeper and our centre backs, this is 38% possession. I don't know if anyone can quickly check in the comments. That must be the lowest of the season, mustn't it? For 3 goals, a clean sheet, and 3 points against the league leaders who've scored 50 goals. Do you want to kind of parlay that into the conversation? And we've just seen last season's EFL Championship winners, Leeds United, completely pivot from in the Premier League, quite successful actually, from a high possession style to a low possession style, and seemingly been quite successful. Where are you with this? I hate the whole plan B argument, the idea that you lose the game. Oh, there's this fictitious plan that you can't say what it is, but if you do it, you would have won the game. And when you ask anybody what the plan is, they don't know what the plan is. But talk to me about 38% possessions as a starter for 10.
Well, I guess there's two teams on the pitch, isn't there? And what one does affects what the other does. And not many teams are going to come into Portman Road and play like Coventry. And I think the second half probably illustrates why teams aren't going to come and try and push up high and sit there and have their defence on the halfway line and try and break us down, because we're just devastating on the break. In transition, we are so good, and that's why teams don't let us have that opportunity to get into transition. Basically.
It's a bit like when we played Leeds in the promotion season, where we were like Leeds' favourite opponent, weren't we?
Yeah, and it's like, like if every team wants to come and go toe to toe with us at Portman Road, then we're going to have a fantastic second half of the season as home supporters. But it just isn't the case. Teams aren't going to do that. They're not going to allow the Philogene and Davies and Nunes to pick up the ball in pockets of space and find these passes to all these guys flying around and have George Hurst sitting on the shoulder with 50 yards to run into a space behind them. So it's just one of those things, really. And whatever happens this season, if we go up this year, we will need to we need to find a way to win games where we have 60% of possession. Are
you trying to tell me, Joe, this conversation's not going away just because of this win, is it?
Sadly not, no. When we play Stoke on Wednesday, Mark Robbins isn't going to come and set up with a high line and set
perfect example.
Defended aggressively. We're going to have to find solutions to win.
Oh, and look out for this, Joe, on Wednesday. Stoke have got a move where the keeper, Johansson, catches it and literally throws it straight to the left winger, Thomas, while we've got all of our players forward as well. So, yeah, have a look out for that one. Anyway, last words from you on a 3. I don't want to move on from it really, Craig, but I've got a 3-0 win over league leaders Coventry.
Just a quick point about a player we haven't mentioned at all, actually, tonight so far. Philogene played well defensively. He got so many tackles, possibly as many as Matasiwa did. Tackles, little nudges off the ball, strong in defence, worked back. So yeah, I
still prefer it when he puts one top bench from 30 yards, though, Craig.
Well, yes, yeah, potentially, but having won 3-0 with a nice, convincing attacking display in the second half,
you win,
and not having him mentioned at all is probably a good thing. You would have thought you're not as reliant on him, but yeah, Wednesday night is going to be a completely different kettle of oatcakes. So yeah, Mark Robbins will not be setting up with his 2 centre halves 3 yards in our half with Marcelino Nunes with acres of space to just dink a ball over the top, sadly. But what it did show, and Kieran McKenna, I think, mentioned it in his post-match, we were just a lot more confident on the ball. We played through their press, and I think just having that confidence that we scored 3 goals, things were coming off. Hopefully it bodes well that whatever team we play with or whether tactics just gives us a little bit of confidence to go at them a bit more than we have been doing recently.
Just quickly, Joe, on Cov, you still got them winning the league?
Well, they're so far ahead, aren't they? I think we'd need to see a lot more sort of poorer performance and drop points before that prediction's going to change. So, and you can see why they're doing so well. I know it turned into a comfortable win, but they're very crisp. They're very positive. They have sort of lovely patterns. They get people into nice positions, and they really work the ball hard. And you can see it's just a team with confidence just oozing through them, and that's going to get them over the line in enough games. They're going to need to go on a bit of a stinker of a run to A, drop enough points to drop out of the top 2, and B, pick up the nerves that mean they'll stop playing the way they are playing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it might be that they're so far ahead that reduces the nerves as well. It can happen in those run-ins. There we go. Right. We will move on. We're going to talk about the rest of the Championship round 19, and then we are going to talk about, we'll take your questions, but we'll talk Blue Monday, episode 1000 as well. So just maybe your favourite podcast memories, and we can very self-indulgently chat a few of them. But first, a word from our show partners, Atwells.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwells Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Okay, thank you to the wonderful people over at Wells. What else is going on this week? I think we might be doing something for the 3rd round cup draw. We'll leave that with Richard and Seb. In fact, that if anyone wants to ask Richard, he's coming on in about 10 minutes to host the episode 1000 bit. There's no Beyond the Scoreline today. If you can wish host Adam well, he has got the December lurgy, which I have avoided so far, but I will get one day before I have to sing on December the 20th. What else have we got? Pre-match Friday this week, live at 8 p.m. ahead of Leicester. Again, we've got the 3-game weekend preview on Top tier as well. Right, let's get into round 19. We've got the boys' views on a few of these bits. Hull 1, Middlesbrough 4. If you're still looking at second place, you'll be interested in that one. Terrible news from Charlton, where a fan passed away, actually, from a medical emergency. So from everybody at Blue Monday, that really sucks, and our condolences to our friends over at Charlton. Derby 1, Leicester 3. Parachute Power is back. All 4 of them won. Is it going to get boring? Watford 3, Norwich 2. And I have a lot to say about Blackburn versus Sheffield Wednesday, but we will get back to that. Bristol City 0, Millwall 1. Great punch-up in that. Absolutely brilliant. Jason Knight and Alex Neil.
We do not like to see scenes like that, Ben.
That's brilliant.
We love it.
Preston 1, Wrexham 1. Big Kiefer on target there. QPR, who are weirder than us, they beat West Brom 3-1. As I mentioned, Parachute Power, Sheffield United 4, Stoke 0. Who's coming to Portman Road next week? 4 defeats in 5 for Mark Robbins and his Potters. Parachute Power, Southampton 3, Birmingham 1. Tonda Ecker has got the job. Swansea 2, Oxford 0. I'll start then. I was so annoyed with how my football club, who I love, was spoken about after that abandonment at Blackburn. And I'll tell you one thing emotional football fans don't do is they don't climb down after they've been bang out of order and they've got something wrong. And I think this very clearly, this second abandonment, 2 in Blackburn, how many has there been in the entire rest of the EFL in the northwest of England? Really, really frustrating. It's not the Blackburn fans' fault. It's not the Blackburn players' fault. But the way my club was spoken about after that, I think a few people who said a few things now are going to have their bloody tail between their legs, Craig, after this second abandonment due to, are we going to say poor weather or poor infrastructure, frankly, up at Ewood?
Well, let's say, is there some sort of microclimate in and around Ewood Park? Because from my knowledge of going up that neck of the woods, you can throw a handkerchief over about 4 dozen football league clubs around.
Why didn't
around
Burnley
that
play
area.
the same day on when our game got cancelled or something?
It's just correct. We know what the reason is. It's because the owners haven't chucked enough money to get a proper drainage system in and around the pitch. But yeah, to your point about us getting the blame last time, I hope Sheffield Wednesday as a club and as a fan base are, feeling.
Craig, where is Sheffield Wednesday in the league?
Yeah, well,
and see how the conversation goes then.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's hope they win the replay or get a very much undeserved 96th minute equaliser as and when it's.
But it's not the players' fault. They don't deserve. They were 1-0 up again, weren't they, in this one as well?
Blackburn have had more games abandoned at Ewood Park this season than they've got home wins.
It just really annoyed me, and there was. I don't want to see, Sheffield Wednesday fans spending money going up there and, having all their plans cancelled. But when I saw that abandonment came through, Joe, I was like, okay, a few people can shut the F up about things that were said about my football club previously.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with it. And I know we robbed a point there on Tuesday, but I think we deserve that because we had to go back up there and play that game again, which was totally out of our control. They're one division away from the biggest league in the world, and they can't fulfill.
They've won the biggest league in the world.
Yeah, but they can't fulfill their fixtures, and it's just not right. And they should be getting fined as a club for it. They should be. I wouldn't be bothered if Sheffield Wednesday get awarded the 3 points for it because something's got to force the Venky's hand to spend the money on it because it's not good enough. And like you say, I agree that I hate some of the stuff I've heard. And it was almost like, oh, well, they definitely would have won because Ipswich had 10 men and there was 10 minutes left. So, well, there was probably about 20 minutes left in that game, really. And we no doubt we'd come on strong. And the fact we equalised in the 95th minute last week showed, a game doesn't finish at 80 minutes.
There you go.
It's in the northwest of the country.
Sorry, say it again, Craig, mate. Sorry, I talked over you.
Breaking news, it rains in the northwest of the country.
It always rains in the northwest of the country. To be fair,
glad you said that, Ben.
Yeah, mate. I'm in Manchester every other week. I can tell you for a fact it always rains in the northwest of the country. Joe, what are we going to talk about? Stoke 4 defeats in 5 and a big battering. What does that mean ahead of our game with Potters?
I don't know, but I think I guess there's two things to look at there. Stoke 4 defeats in 5 and Sheffield United 4 wins on the bounce with 13 goals
13 goals
in those 4 games. Yeah, Chris Wilder's got them going and sort of leading into a lot. I think everyone is certain now Sheffield United are not going to be taking one of the relegation places at the bottom of the table now. So when you look at our sort of dear rivals up the road, they've got a lot of work to do to get out of that relegation zone. And when you
they should have beaten Watford as well. They're still finding stupid ways to lose football matches.
I think there's something like if the first half table they'd be like third in the league. In the second half
right.
table, that they've conceded the most goals, scored the fewest, and got the least. They are just by some distance the very, very worst team in the second half of football games. So if they can't get their whether it's fitness levels or mentality sorted, both those things, they're in for a real enjoyable for us, long, hard slog of a season trying to get themselves out of that bottom 3. And I'm really here for it.
Joe, Craig, I think Joe Fair's just predicted that. He just predicted 5 of the top 6 there. He's got Coventry and the 4 parachute teams all kind of ending up there. Although Leicester are having their hearing now, 6 months after being charged. But are we following the money now as we go into January?
I think you can probably follow it with Southampton and ourselves. Southampton are looking good now, aren't they? Albeit there was probably the best goal in that game was Damari Gray's goal, wasn't it? We're talking about cutting in from the left and curling it into the far corner.
But Craig, do you see the first Leicester goal? They have got some class players if they can get it right.
Yeah, they're really struggling at home, though, aren't they? I think the fans. I think they're a much better team away from home because the fans are on their back at home straight away. But in that Southampton-Birmingham, that miss from Kyogo as well. Like, I'm not sure what the score was at that point, but that could have been a big moment in that game.
Anything else to add anywhere there?
Just the punch up.
Talk about the punch. Talk a bit about Middlesbrough as well. Are we scared of them?
Well, yeah, Hayden Hackney, yet another man of the match performance, wasn't it, on Friday night? I caught the second half of it, and they were purring about him, and then awarded him the second half. The man of the match, and showed his touch map, which was probably there's more of the pitch you couldn't see than you could see. I think once they did that, but yeah,
what you're saying is we would have more points than Coventry now if they'd managed to do the Hayden Hackney deal.
Yeah, very possibly. No, the punch up was fantastic, wasn't it? I think it all came down to how many years ago was it where it was pretty much every week in the Premier League, Mark Hughes would get the arse because somebody wasn't shaking his hand in the right way or the right manner, weren't they? It's pretty much on a weekly basis. Mark Hughes
was looking at him while they shook it.
That's right. Wasn't shaking it in properly, so he got to kick off. I think that's apparently what it was. Is that there was a pretty rough disallowed goal, wasn't there? Bristol City scored a goal which got disallowed, and I think as a result, their manager had the
Stribber claimed that he tried twice to shake Alex Neil's hand.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't pick that up on the TV, did they? All we saw was Alex Neil telling him to F off, and then, as you said, Jason Knight
in Scottish.
Jason Knight appearing and then pushing him, and then the next thing you see is the Millwall assistant manager, one of the coaches,
I love the
laying
fact
on the
that
floor.
Struber, Knight, and Neil are all quite little blokes as well, aren't they? It's proper Saturday night outside the pub stuff, wasn't it?
One of them's a little Scottish bloke, Ben. You don't want to be messing around with little Scottish blokes.
I do know names. I once shared a lift with Gerhard Struber at Reading, in fact, and I reckon he can handle himself. There's something about that guy that's quite intense.
Yeah. You need to go up to Scotland and start poking some little Scottish men.
Okay.
Then you'll see intense.
The thing that made me laugh though, Craig, is Zach Sturge and Mihailo Ivanovic are like all the way over by the Millwall fans. Sturge sees what happens, and his brain doesn't go, "Oh, I'll keep away from that." It's just like proper sprints over.
Sprints over.
It's pure WWE. Love it. And we are moving on to the final segment.
Yeah, full pile on, wasn't it? I don't know if anything is going to happen as a result of it.
Something will happen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry, Craig. I think we've got a bit of a lag down. I think I talked over you, mate. Won't be the first time or the last time. Right. Let me remove this, and we can bring Richard in. Is that going to work? Or go to 4? There you go. Thanks, Rich. And do you want to take over, mate? And we'll go to questions and Blue Monday 1000 stuff.
Yeah. Well, I need to say my podcast highlight of all time is Craig encouraging you to go up to Scotland and poke some little men, Ben. So I think that's probably the highlight. we won't keep this too long. There's so many questions, so we'll come back to questions. But I wanted to chuck some stats at you. People are starting to get memories in, which is great. We've obviously, Ben, Dave started this back in 2015 with great optimism, and we've been a bit. I think McKenna talked about learning. Player development is kind of an upward and downward line, isn't it? It's not a straight line, and certainly being on this podcast for 1,000 episodes has been a journey. But we've had to revamp and reset a couple of times, but we've had nearly 2 million podcast downloads in that time.
2 million?
2 million, 1.6 million views on YouTube, 500,000 hours of watch time. So thank you to everyone who's downloaded a podcast or streamed or joined in the live chat. Because we wouldn't still be here, would we, frankly, for 1,000 episodes without that. So thank you, everyone there. I have got some stats as well, but I'm going to have to probably cover up Craig's space of most watched moments on the podcast, at least on YouTube.
There you go.
We're going to cover up. I'm going to cover up the founders for the founder of the podcast. Okay. So I couldn't do a graphic to reveal this, but thankfully, our most watched live stream is our promotion special from 2024. That far and away. And then recent addition in second spot is the East Anglian Derby reaction from only a few months ago. So that's a new entrant at number 2. I feel like I need Craig's Popmaster kind of. I need like some music.
You're going the wrong way round. Everyone knows you go up to number 1.
I'll do it right for the next one. I'll do it someone, I think you might have done a Premier League transfer target show, Craig. That's the 3rd most watched live stream in Blue Monday history, a transfer target special.
Always transfers.
I remember this one got a lot of traction. We're all very excited about promotion. And then Kieran McKenna was linked with every team under the sun. That's our 4th most watched live stream. But someone's mentioned, I think it's Streaky's mentioned it, 5th place. Barnsley 0, Ipswich 3, live reaction. Me and Dave. That has to be, I think, one of the highlights of my time on the pod. Me and Dave. The only 2 people I think left in Suffolk on that night, and everyone joining us on their way home. And obviously a great night when everything kind of clicked and everything became positive about our promotion up to the Championship. I'll try and get this the right way around. So this is uploads as opposed to live reactions. So a bit more of a mixed bag here. 5th place. I've got it right, Craig. Thank you. We did an interview with Neil Warnock just before promotion where he wished us all the very best. And it was that obviously got us across the line. That's in 5th place. More January transfer. I'm a transfer Grinch, but transfer shows do very well on the podcast. Who'd have thought it? That's 4th place from back in the this January of the promotion season to the Prem. So that would have been when we signed Kiefer Moore and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if anyone predicted that. Folk might not know this. We did do an interview with TWDD of Mark Ashton shortly after the takeover. You can go and find that. But I think both Craig and Joe did a live, it was a pre-record reaction to our away trip to Leeds, which is our 2nd most watched show that isn't a live stream ever. Leeds fans obviously loved that one. We did not. That was a Christmas Eve show. And then the number 1, which I think kind of sums up the kind of spirit of kind of the pod and what we try to do in terms of definitely get people kind of happy and sentimental about the glory days and try to inform and educate a little bit. And so our most watched show, pre-record show, is Dave's player profile that we kind of flipped into a tribute for the late great Paul Mariner. So that's by far the most watched show on the channel. So some highlights there, and a few folk have put stuff in the chat as well if I can find that very quickly. Any guys, any memories you want to share before we stop all this horrible sentimentality?
The Barnsley one's the best one, isn't it? I think for the football club having been crap for 20 years, that was the moment everyone was like, we're going to get something good. And you wouldn't have seen it, Rich, but we're all stuck in traffic leaving Barnsley. And I think most of the cars were listening to you and Dave, and no one was remotely bothered that they were stuck in traffic. Brilliant. Yeah. And by the way, the Paul Mariner thing, I love that that's number 1 on the pre-record because, our club does reach further than East Anglia, and certain individuals, particularly 2 managers, do. And that is not going to be just Ipswich fans watching a tribute to Paul Mariner, a great player, and you can see what a giant he is in the game.
And hopefully it demonstrates. Unfortunately, Dave's got a family commitment tonight, and he's obviously gutted to miss out. But
selfish.
It's selfish. Sack Dave for being disloyal. But again, highlights Dave's expertise and brilliance and his enthusiasm, which is obviously, along with your insight, Ben, and stewarding, through the pod through the early years is just what's established us, and hopefully it's what people appreciate from us week in with this kind of bigger team that we now have. Mikey is in the chat. He can't join us either, but his highlights of the live shows. Yeah, I know. Another professionalism that's what we want.
He always does a great job at the live shows with the
He does
interviews.
do
To be fair, yeah, without burying him, he actually does. He probably proper steps up at the live shows, doesn't he?
And another shout out for Dave as well from Mill Valley Blue podcast. Mary Dave Diamond's bit of both becoming a slogan.
Is Mill Valley saying that Dave tends to repeat himself? I think there's a subtext to that comment, isn't there?
I'm glad that we haven't had to use the word crap tonight as well, because that's in the Blue Monday.
We talked about the Blackburn game, didn't we?
Maybe the first person that can show us their tattoo of #BitOfBoth will get a free top tier membership for a month.
Talking of, I should do that, shouldn't I? I'll go and give some top tier away in a second.
Tattoo.
No, well, yeah,
David Diamond tattoo.
Yeah, lots of lovely stuff in the chat. I think Ben will keep it at that. Well, should we have a bit of extra time so we can go through?
Yeah, you carry on. You do the questions, mate.
I'm going to do the question. Okay, I'll post
Yeah,
them. I'll see if I can add some more memories along the way as we go. A lot of chat about transfers. It's not my bag. Sorry, everyone.
Well, Craig was just blooming number one on the list. They get him to answer.
Okay, well let's go in order. Let's talk about Sindre, shall we? I'm going to go down the line. Egley was prolific as a forward in Norway. Is there a future central forward in there when he's physically matured, Craig? If he physically matured, has he got?
I was going to say, Craig, if he hasn't physically matured yet, what size is he going to be? Anyone know any large Norwegian strikers that he might be able to potentially emulate from a physical perspective? I think it's pretty much agreed. A lot of people think he's going to move inside. Whether he moves inside to be a 10 or whether he moves inside to be an all-purpose number 9 remains to be seen. But I think to Ben's point earlier in the pod, it's just nice that now he's scored once, now he's scored twice. Hopefully you just see him, that confidence will now start oozing through him, won't it? Now we're getting to the meat of the season as well. So, yeah, I think we may, who knows, as and when Wes Burns comes back, if he can get up to speed and hangs around, then he may start fighting McAteer for that right-hand spot, and Egley moves inside. Who knows what happens between now and the end of the season?
And I mention this every week because it's always the same, but there's a really good comment from Jack in the Telegram group, which is sort of fast becoming another catchphrase of mine, talking about Egley, where he's saying like he looks like that real modern number 10, like that Jude Bellingham, Morgan Rogers, big physical, powerful runners, as well as technically very good with that eye for goal as well. So just to add that as well.
I was going to add, I saw a thing with Paul Merson, Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes on the podcast, and they all universally agreed no one wants to be a forward anymore. He's perfectly happy. You get all the glory out there on the inside, inverted wing position. So might be just lovely staying where he is.
Yeah, well,
and check out Jack's great writing.
So another we've just gifted. Thank you. Well, 5 top 10 memberships have gone already. So please do enjoy those if you manage to nab one. But do join over there because we've got video content throughout the week, but also Jack and our team of bloggers. 1 or 2 bits long form articles go up every week as well. So that's another perk that you get for being top tier. And Jack is always providing an excellent insight that it just enhances the conversation that we're having here. In terms, Joe, we've talked briefly about it. You mentioned his return in the Coventry roundup. Smodic, is there a world where Smodic plays wide? I mean, he was on the left for us, wasn't he? So, how does Smodic get back into the team?
Well, I don't think he could play off the right for us. And I thought he was excellent off the left for us last year. I thought he played that role really, really well disciplined, doing that, and scored four goals. And they all were sort of coming from runs inside from that side. And he played it really well. But with Jaden Philogene and Jack Clark, both here, it's difficult to see that he plays there because we seem to have a different profile there. And we've got 2 sort of very, very good players there. So probably not would be my guess, but I wouldn't hate it if I saw it. So I liked him there last year.
And we have seen 2 games in a row, I think. Philogene and Clark in the same front 3, haven't we now? They were definitely at Blackburn. Pretty certain it was moments that they weren't sub for each other on Saturday, were they?
No. Clark went across to the right when he came on. Philogene stayed.
Joe, where did he play for Peterborough, Smodic?
I don't know Peterborough, but Blackburn he was like a 10 more here, but coming in off the left and sort of being on the shoulder, making the sort of third man runs and bits like that.
Thank you to MPR 49. Apologies that we've got YouTube usernames rather than your actual proper names. But thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. Thank you for everyone who's donated and done all sorts of stuff for us over the last 1,000 episodes. As we always say, a like, a subscribe, a 5-star rating on your podcast app of choice is also really appreciated. But thank you to MPR49.
Telling your friends.
Tell your friends. There's
Get their
always something.
phones, download it on there.
Ben, this is I've kind of chucked a few attacking names into the equation for Craig and Joe. So I'm going to add Akpom's name here from Trevor's question. Where does it leave him? With a suspension to Hurst against Stoke, Akpom will presumably feature. But where Trevor says where it's a difficult conundrum at the moment, isn't it, with Akpom?
Well, I'll bow to Craig's superior knowledge because I was on a military base in Wiltshire yesterday. But I asked Craig at the top of the show, "Is the shirt Nunes?" And he said yes. So that leaves Akpom, Rich, on the bench.
But maybe the 9 on Wednesday, is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you saw the interview after the Hull game, I mean, he played the media kind of card, Akpom, didn't he? Or I'll give my best wherever I'm asked to play if selected. You know, that cliche answer, but. He didn't sound like he wasn't up for playing in the number 9 position, and maybe it's not for everybody. The number 10 in a Kieran McKenna team. Maybe it's a more complex position than we imagine it used to be. We mentioned Paul Merson. You know, we used to play 2 up front, and it just used to be that one of the strikers could, Peter Beardsley or Merson or a Cantona could just come back and find the space. It's not that straightforward anymore, and we've seen the likes of Gustavo Harmer in the Championship, who's obviously absolutely brilliant, not be used in a 10 position because it's got so complex in there. But Craig, I don't know if you want to finish up on Nunes.
Well, it's interesting to know what will happen on Wednesday, isn't it? Because as we've all sort of seen in regards to Azon, he hasn't sparkled when he's started games, has he? He's very much been more impressive when he's on for that last half an hour against more tired centre halves, rather than having to. He's not a particularly tall guy, so he's bashing himself around against 2 6'2" centre halves for 70 minutes, and he hasn't really managed to do that particularly well. He says he's done better when coming on as a sub. So, is there a potential that Akpom is used as your Hurst substitute straight from the off on Wednesday? I'd suggest it's not likely, but there's a potential for it, I reckon.
He'd literally need to start and score, Joe, wouldn't he, to displace or even get McKenna to think about not using Hurst in that role.
Yeah, and ultimately where it leaves Akpom is needing to play better to get in the team because he hasn't played well for us this year so far. But I think when you look at the personnel for Wednesday, assuming there's no injuries that we aren't aware of, your 2 9s are going to be Azon and Akpom, your 2 left wingers, Philogene and Clark, your 2 right wingers, Valley Egle and McAteer, and your 2 10s are going to be Nunes and Smodics. So for this next game, he'll need to be seen as one of the 9s, and it's whether he starts or comes off the bench. I think Azon, he hasn't looked good when he started, but that has generally been Azon and Akpom as the 2 that just haven't worked at all. So it'd be nice to see Azon there with Nunes playing behind him.
Yeah, they are a good partnership, seemingly, aren't they? Craig, you've hosted, I think, those transfer shows that I talked about in our stats. I'll quickly merge 2 questions together, but what I might do is suggest that there will be some transfer window content at some point. And someone was asking you about creating the transfer window chat in Telegram today as well, which is frankly far too early. But Mill Valley
December.
I know,
Christmas.
I'm
Here
the
come the presents.
Grinch. No, not for me. Troy Parrott has been mentioned, and Colin talking about a midfield player. I guess I'd be more specific about cover for Matasiwa. Those are the 2 focus areas, aren't they, for us in the transfer window, surely?
Yeah, and you would think that they were probably the 2 areas where we didn't achieve the targets that we wanted in the summer, weren't they? The 2 obvious gaping holes in the squad, the cover for Matasiwa and the cover for Hurst. Really, I said last time, I think it was on after Blackburn with Mikey, that I saw Azon coming in as the Al Hamadi 3rd striker replacement, given his history and where he played previously. It's a bit of an ask to come from his level up to the Championship and potentially start game on Wednesday night. So I would have thought that, without knowing the names in particular, it may be that we get a Premier League loan to see us between now and the end of the season if Wrexham aren't up for lending us Kiefer Moore for 5 or so months.
What was the line? Sorry, Rich, about the Forest striker. That was the kind of player they were in from. Did you have a look at that?
Yeah.
Joe?
Igor Jesus.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
It sounded like it was January that we went in for him because
Okay.
it talked about Ipswich was the only offer on the table and they were going to be relegated. It sounded like that was January, not the summer, but who knows? Or it might have been talks during the second half of the season ahead of a move in the summer. It wasn't actually confirmed.
Well, set your calendars for transfer deadline day where we'll have a yellow background show with, it's usually Craig and Joe doing it. So keep a lookout for that one. I'll be, unless we do actually some exciting business for once, I'll be giving that wide berth. We're going to finish with a
daily rumour show maybe as well, Rich.
Oh, God, yeah. Stick it down
Throughout
top as long as I don't have to watch it. That's fine. Different podcasts for different needs. We're going to finish off with a few nice moments, or maybe not for Ben and I. We've talked about DD and bit of both, but the landline is coming in for some. It's definitely something that's been talked about quite a bit. The conversation
in Suffolk with the landline.
I know. You can
Dave's
still find
mother-in-law on the phone.
Yeah, our conversation about Thunder Bars. I don't think we've seen one for a while. The bar is set quite high.
Josh Timon scored one for Swansea yesterday. Yeah.
Big fan of Dave's crikey. I'm not. That's not one I'm familiar with.
Oh yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
That's a good crikey. Yeah,
crikey. Nick talks about our ability to make relegation bearable at the time, and we did our best. But blimey, those were a slog towards the end of the season, weren't they? But a lot of love for DD actually coming up quite a lot, as all of us do. We love DD. There was one question for you, Ben. We'll finish on from Norman. How do you feel seeing how things lie at 1,000 episodes in, and hopefully many more to follow?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we said it when we did 900. There was never any plan to be here with like such a great team full of hosts and contribs, and we've got all these things going on. The world has changed since we started. But for me personally, I've had a relationship collapse and completely moved where I live in the country, and had a child with the new person I'm with since the podcast has been going, and it's been a really, really lovely sort of constant for me. And I know people, they do look past the football often when they come up to you and see you at a game or whatever. It get very, very kind of romantic about it. It's about the connections with people, isn't it? Even over and above the football. And yeah, for me, just a brilliant constant. And if it's anything like that for anybody listening, then we hope it's some value.
The RDTT getting mentioned as well. Spot on, Ben. Craig, Joe, any final bits of mushiness from you before we say goodbye to everyone?
No, I've really enjoyed it. Been doing it for a number of years now, and it's always been great. And sort of at a lot of games, nearly every game, somewhere along the line, before, during, after, someone will come and speak to me about the podcast. Helps sort of new friendships and people like that, and no one's ever come up and said anything negative to me about it. It's always been positive.
Yeah, just type that on TWTD.
Yeah, they've always wanted to come up and speak to me about it and get my views and give me their views and put it on. But it's always nice to speak to people like that, and actually sort of the overwhelming positivity you get back on that side.
Craig?
I think people come to me and say negative things about Joe. I just don't pass them on because I'm that kind of guy. I think, and what's sort of reinforced it is the community, the Telegram community for certain. It's the people that come on there and telling personal stuff and getting support from people they've never met before in their lives. And it's not necessarily people who watch and listen to the show coming to us guys, the seven of us plus the new guys from the top tier shows. It's people just sorting out friendships and having a community between themselves as well. People who watch the pod are going to games together, and people who watch the pod are, having their own friendships created as part of it. So yeah, I think that's a nice part. Community.
Here. Thank you, everyone. There's so many lovely comments in the chat. We don't have time to put them all up, but we see them, and thank you. And as we say, we wouldn't be here 1,000 episodes down the line without you guys listening, discussing with us, having conversations with us at a match day. Blackburn away, we're speaking to people from all over the place. So thank you so much for listening. Please stick with us. Plenty more fun and games and entertainment to come. Plenty more interventions by somewhere in Dave's house, I'm sure. And, like the guys, I remember before I was even part of the team, moving house on my own single-handedly with the podcast in the background just for some company as I was building IKEA furniture. That was really important for me. So I know there's lots of you out there who, use the podcast for, hopefully it's informative, but hopefully it's also a community and company as well. So very happy to be part of people's lives. So thank you for that. And a big week ahead. As I say, we'll be back Monday. We'll react to whatever dross we get in the FA Cup third round. It'll be Watford away, I guarantee you that. But we will speak about Stoke as well. And I think we'll have a reaction live after Stoke on Wednesday night too. Hopefully another victory after that. And then the usual run of shows. Friday, the weekend preview, guys. Also, then the pre-match show will be live on Friday, not on Thursday this week. And then hopefully the Holy Trinity will have Dave back with landline included on Sunday night for the flagship show. And then we'll go all again the week after, which I can't. Sheffield Wednesday, isn't it? So, Ben, do you want to, I'll let Ben sign out and I'll press the button for you, Ben. So, have a good week, everyone, and over to Ben.
Yeah, amazing. I say it's not about the football and about the community, but the football bloody helps. So it's nice to sign off. Episode 1000, Ipswich 3, runaway league leaders and the best team in the division, Coventry, 0. Happy days.